Welcome, it's Global Morning and it's a weekend, it's Saturday. You know what it is when it's Saturday? It's time to get relaxed and have a relaxed atmosphere, basically. That's what we're here for you on this weekend, this Saturday. I am Anita Patrick and I won't be doing this alone. I have my co-anchor with me in the studio in person of Mukhtar. Mukhtar, it's good to have you.
Good morning, Anita. It's great to have you. Good morning, our audience. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
You're not looking bad, obviously, as always.
We're trying our best to just keep fit and
keep body and soul together. Yes, and we're doing a good job at it.
Yes, we are. And we're here, as we do it every weekend.
Of
we
course.
have our newspaper review segments, we have our discussion segments. Interestingly, today, we have a lot to talk about.
Honestly, I can imagine, because we know all the atmosphere in the country is tense and all, but then the conversation I know we're going to have is going to bring light on that particular conversation, and I hope we get solutions to those problems.
Hopefully we get solutions. That's what Nigerians are actually clamoring for now, that we get answers to these questions and these safety measures put in place. We'll also bring a bit of sports, like we always do. We have a segment with sports. I don't want to just let the cat out of the bag, but sit back. Trust me, it's going to be an amazing run with us on Global Morning Weekend this Saturday. Up next is our newspaper review segment. Please stay with us as we bring you stories making the headlines in front of the papers.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Here we have papers and stories screaming on the front covers of newspaper pages. We'll start basically because we have the Nation newspaper, we have the Punch, we have Weekend Trust, we have This Day newspaper, we have the Nigerian Tribune and the Daily Independent, as well as the Vanguard newspaper, with different stories on the front cover of those papers. But let's quickly take our focus to the Nation newspaper and see what the Nation newspaper has for us boldly this morning. There it has is very boldly written there. The Nation Saturday says massive rescue operation for adopted Niger students begins. There you have a lot of rider there about. Take them one by one and then we'll just talk about this. There you have, he says, state governments blame school for ignoring security warning. And another says, FG Plateau Castina shut schools over security concerns. We also have Kebbi Governor queries military withdrawal before MAGA schoolgirls adoption. And another says, we thought they were thieves. We're scared to come out, say residents. And then you have picture story there showing a town busy with a crowd at the St. Mary's Private Catholic Primary School and secondary schools, people there in Niger State yesterday, where they had the massive rescue operations for the student there in Mutara.
Anita, it's a good one to see that there's a massive rescue operation, but it's not a good one to see that people have been kidnapped. Like the riders have said, there are so many situations. There was an advisory given to the school as to the fact that there's a security breach, and the government said they ignored it. But as a government, the governor is the chief executive security officer of the state. So when you give advisories and they are not followed, actions should be taken. We have other stakeholders that should have taken actions to sweep in. The governor of Kebbi, going to Kebbi State, he said the troops that were around that school were withdrawn before this particular abduction. So why were those troops withdrawn? So there are so many questions, and it's not a pleasant one. I am really upset with the situation at the moment. And Nigerians also are very upset, and they've been asking so many questions. Insecurity is something that we have seen that has lingered for so long. And we had seen progress, and it's like we're now taking steps backward in Nigeria. And it's not something that we want to see as a people. It's not a pleasant one, honestly, at the moment.
It's really sad, Mukhtar, just like you've mentioned, that Nigeria is now a country of concern when it comes to security matters. And we now have it across the state, not just in one particular spot. Initially, we used to have the Northeast, where we have issues of the Chibok and all that, but now it's extending. We now have the banditry adoption.
The Northwest. And like you mentioned particular concerns, the US has labeled Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and the government came out and said that is not the situation. But with this recent wave of insecurity sweeping across the country, it's like it's giving credence to that particular notion of the United States. The government should have swooped in and prevented all this, not even allowed the situation worsen. To be honest, it's getting like worse than it has been. It's taken us to the era of previous years where Nigeria was a hotbed of insecurity, and it seems like those days are returning, and God forbid, we don't want to see those days, but that is what it is at the moment, and it's not a pleasant one, Anita.
Hopefully that we get past this phase of our life right now.
Well, hopefully. The thing about Nigeria is, of course, we always survive, but we cannot continue suffering and smiling. We need things to change drastically.
Very true, my brother. So let's go. There's a story above the masthead there that reads boldly there.
Yes, it says, finally, Nestle Oil takes full possession of its headquarters after initial police defiance of court order. Of course, we know that has been in the news for quite a while, and it seems we're getting close to a conclusion, as it has been able to take, this particular company has been able to take possession of its headquarters, and we hope that will be the end of that particular dilemma. And then moving down below the masthead, you see a story that says, United States Defense Secretary Ribadu pledge cooperation to degrade terrorism in Nigeria. And the writer says how Americans' Leahy Act hampers anti-terror laws. Of course, we saw that meeting yesterday between Nigeria's NSA, Ribadu, and United States Defense Secretary, where they had mutual cooperation and conversations around Nigeria. And the rep member there, that's Smith, he raised concerns that why the US cannot help Nigeria. The way we want to be helped is because of a particular act that is called the Leahy Act, which says countries that have concerns around breaches of human rights, the American government will be careful in trading with those governments. They've had situations of our military in the Northeast particularly being accused of violating human rights, and those particular concerns have been said to be reasons why the American government might not be able to assist Nigeria the way we want to be assisted. But of course, they had headways, and they said there was progress in the talks, and hopefully they can cooperate in other mutual areas of cooperation.
Very true.
That will help Nigeria.
Help Nigeria for this to
insecurity
cut this side. Yeah,
yes,
that, hopefully we get that response, and we hope that going forward, if there can be a negotiation or a meeting point to all of this, because I was really excited when I see foreigners getting to buy attention into what's happening here in Nigeria.
You know, of course, Nigeria, like we've always said, not even Nigeria, insecurity is not a one-person affair.
No, it's not.
It's a multi-sectoral approach, and all hands must be put on deck. If the American government is saying they want to help the country, and of course we can solicit that help as long as it's to our own benefit as Nigerians. And of course, still talking about the newspaper review, the next story we should be taking now is a particular story, that says Kanu moved to Sokoto prison. That's Nnamdi Kanu. And details of that particular story is on page 4 of the Nation's newspaper. Of course, we've seen that story yesterday with the judge after he has been sentenced, and now we've had issues of him You're welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is still Global Morning, and it's still the newspaper review segment where we are taking the stories that are making rounds on our daily newspapers. And today we are on The Nation's newspaper, and it has a story here that says Kanu moved to Sokoto prison with a rider that says Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, others call for calm. And details of this particular story is on page 5 of The Nation's newspaper. Of course, we've seen Nnamdi Kanu embattled in a lot of controversy, and he's now been sentenced to life. And of course, his lawyers have said they would appeal. But now we've seen the judge move him to the Sokoto Correctional Facility, and there are lots of talks about that particular story. But then let's move away from that story and see a story that's a bit of business. It says FG wins 4 billion naira, 185 million euros in Ajaokuta contract dispute with French firms. Of course, that's a big one for the Nigerian government, seeing that we've had this judgment in our favor as regards our economy and the Ajaokuta firm. And the details of this particular story is on page 2 of The Nation's newspaper. And let's just look below, and we see a story that says 20 Filipinos arrested as NDLEA intercept cocaine shipments. That's a good one in Nigeria's fight against drug. And of course, we know it's one that has plagued the nation for so long. And we're seeing that there are many factors. We're seeing that not only Nigerians are involved in this particular dealing. We have foreign interests, and it's good to see that NDLEA is not resting on its oars, and it arrested 20 Filipinos. And we hope the people that have been arrested now would face the full wrath of the law. And that's all we can take on The Nation's newspaper. Let's move to the next paper, which is the Weekend Trust newspaper. And the Weekend Trust newspaper leads with this bold caption that says 215 students, 12 staff kidnapped in Niger State. And that is the Christian Association of Nigeria speaking. And there's a writer that says federal government shuts down 41 unity schools. And details of this story is on page 4. Of course, we know this is not a good one. We've seen insecurity continue to ravage the country, and we've seen education is affected with 41 schools shut down. How is this going to affect our education sector? Of course, it's not going to be positive. So we just hope all this drama can be resolved as soon as possible. Now let's look above the mass headline and see this one that says DSS moves Kanu to Sokoto Custodial Center. We've seen that story before as regards the embattled leader of the IPOB. And moving away from that, just beside that story by your right, you'd see a politics story that says 2027 opposition parties battle rising court cases. And of course, we've seen the opposition parties in Nigeria in and out of courts, the PDP, the SDP, and what's not. They've all been having their own battles in courts. And like we always say, we want our opposition to be vibrant, to be one that would be challenging keeping the government on its toes, which is a very integral part of opposition politics. And let's move away from that. We'll see a headline that says, Moluwe, an experience beyond transportation. Of course, people that are in Lagos have that particular experience more than maybe some of us in this part of the country. And let's move below that picture headline that says, Safe School, Government Secondary School. That's an infographic, and we know the Weekend Trust is always one that's big on infographics. It's showing you the state of our schools. There's an open gate which shows how safe is our school system in Nigeria, because that's a question. If you have such an open gate, it's like you're giving room for the terrorists to just sweep in and maybe take our kids, and this is not what we want. So we are calling on the government, of course, to safeguard our schools and safeguard our children. And still talking education, there's a headline that says, undergraduates buckle under cost of accommodations. We know that we've all been through school and we know how expensive it was. And it's even much more expensive now than ever before. And we hope the government is able to sweep in and help the students have much more affordable accommodation. Details of this particular story is on page 12 of the Weekend Trust. And let's go below the headlines. We see Meshai, cost of eggs, bread, push Nigerians to cheaper options. That's not a very nice one, but then it is what it is, and Nigerians will survive like we always do. And still talking headlines on the Weekend Trust, we see this one that says NDLEA intercepts cocaine shipment from Brazil and detains 20 Filipinos. Details of this particular story is on page 20 of the Saturday Weekend Trust. And moving away from the Weekend Trust, we go to the Saturday Punch. Saturday Punch newspaper is leading with this bold headline that says, federal government, that's the Saturday Punch newspaper, has this bold headline that says, federal government, state, shut schools as terrorists abduct 215 Niger pupil. And details of this particular story is on page 4, and it has riders that say bandits target student, 42,000 schools risk closure. Another rider that says defense minister relocates to Kebbi State, northern governors demand action. Of course, we have to see action in helping Nigeria become a much more safer and secure place for our people, our students, and the average citizen. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for too much. We just want Nigeria to be a safer place. And still talking headlines on the Punch newspaper, we see one that says heavy security at Sokoto prison over Nnamdi Kanu's arrival. Details of this particular story is on page 8 of the Saturday Punch newspaper. And just beside that, you see one that says illusion, the billionaire's scheme driving students into debt, prostitution. And that's not a good one. Of course, students should know the value of hard work and earning your living legitimately. And there's a picture story that has the ex-president, which is Jonathan, saying Niger Delta suffered because of personal interest. And details of this particular story is on page 7 of the Saturday Punch newspaper. And just beside that, we see the federal government talking, and it says, why FG hasn't prosecuted terrorism financiers. We of course know that terrorism financiers are people who have maybe even done as much damage, if not more damage than the particular terrorists themselves, and we need the government to prosecute them. And the Minister of Information here is saying this is the reason why. And if you want to know the reason, like I want to, pick up this particular newspaper on page 9 to get details of that particular story. And just below that, we see a headline that says, how Kwara Church Thanksgiving service turned to bloodbath. That's not a pleasant one. And we're still talking newspaper review. Moving on to the next paper, which is the Saturday Independent newspaper. And the Saturday Independent newspaper has a different outlook. It says, Nigeria's hidden public health emergency. And the details are on page 8. And we see a particular picture of open defecation. And it says, unsafe water, open defecation. These are Nigeria's hidden public health emergency, with details on page 8.
Well, there's a whole lot happening around Nigeria, and I like that story. Before we got to this, the killings and the issues raised by the Punch newspaper shows a particular concern that it's high time we actually look at all of this issue happening in Nigeria. You've seen the concerns raised by Nigerians, the fear it has put in the minds of people in place of worship. Yes. You know, how Thanksgiving became a bloodshed place, which is actually heartbreaking.
It's a very terrible one.
We've seen people come out to say, even sisters, nephew, loved ones just being carried away.
Entire families. We've seen families literally carried away, an entire family.
And this is really heartbreaking at this point where Nigerians are struggling with a whole lot of things when it comes to their survival as humans. And then you add the issue of insecurity. I think is really unfair. And hopefully, like I said, this die can be stemmed and Nigeria can restore back to its glory days as a country who could move around freely without fear of being kidnapped or being asked for ransom for a loved one, hopefully.
It's not a good one. And we still talking about insecurity on that particular paper. We saw the Minister of Information saying this is the reason why Nigeria has not named terrorist financiers. And people have been clamoring for so long that these people have people who are sponsoring them, because we see them with sophisticated weapons. These are not just armed bandits like we term them, because bandits should not have such sophisticated.
They shouldn't have that kind of weapon. So for
people to have that kind of weapon, they must have a sponsor. And people have been saying, tell us who are these people behind.
Because we have the intelligence. So what's happening?
So the minister is saying there's a reason why they're not. And I told we're going to pick up the particular paper to have details. Yes. But honestly, we cannot continue like this.
We can't, because it's not helpful at all. We have given ourselves a name that it's not, because this is not the Nigeria we need to know. A lot of people have raised concerns in the 60s and the 50s how it wouldn't have gotten to this point if proper actions are being put in place.
Like you said, the glory days are behind us. A colleague was sharing a particular experience, saying when he was growing up, his father was telling him that A stranger could walk in and say, please, I am a stranger. I have no place to sleep. Can you help me with accommodation? And they would gladly give him that accommodation because at that time,
you can't even try it now.
Can you try it?
Can you try it? We don't even trust.
You don't trust even the next person behind you.
Behind you.
So it's not a pleasant one for Nigeria.
It is not. But let's quickly see what the Daily Independent says, Mukhtar, where you had started that story. You see, this time around, it's a whole different headline here, talking away from issues of insecurity and trying to see how we can look at other issues of concern and how we can better solve the issues. Here you have Nigeria's hidden public health emergency. Open defecation has been there for a long time. I remember doing a special report on this, talking about issue and how this can come. But we need to also ask, are there enough public facilities?
That's the question.
For people who are around the public spaces like this to use. But the second thought is, for you using this kind of, look at the kind of picture we have there. How healthy, how safe are you? One, you're looking at your health situation. You could pick any infection at this point. Secondly, you don't know where this defecation is going to the water, especially with the rains. And look at the death rates, look at the deaths behind that scene.
Yes.
It shows that this is more dangerous than any other thing you can imagine for
Honestly,
our health.
it's not a nice one. And even you as a person, the fact that this person's picture is not showing. What if someone sees you? And it's not a pleasant one. But like you said, do we have enough facilities to stop open defecation? So of course, like when we always blame the people, we would also try to balance and say the government should provide enough facilities so that we don't have cases of open defecation. And we hope it's one that would be a thing of the past. Okay, so let's see. We have that. We also have other stories above the masthead there. We see where we have Senator Sani urges FG to see Trump's statement as a wake-up call. You know, the funny thing is, we hear one side speaking on the encouragement of Trump and other people castigating and countering the same word, and you're asking yourself, what's really happening? Anyway, that's why we're humans. We have divergent views. And they say different strokes for different folks. But I think I'm going to toot my horn, particularly with this Senator Senator Sani Uba, that is, who has urged the federal government to see Trump's call as a wake-up call. And I think that is what it is, because if things like this continue to happen, then you have people interfere in your politics. But if you're able to put your house in order, nobody has to come and tell you what it is you need to do to secure people. And we hope the government will take it as a challenge upon themselves to make Nigeria a much more secure nation than it currently is.
We hope that we get to that point in our nation. Well, let's also see other stories making the round. We have power, uniform, and politics. The implications of Yerima Wike clash for Nigeria's democracy. That story is on page 31 of the daily Saturday Independent paper there. There's a lot happening, from politics to health to security
to the military.
A whole lot happening, and we just hope that we get past this. And if you go below that picture of the female there, before the female, they have insecurity, still talking that FG orders closure of 41 federal colleges. It's heartbreaking for me, because now it's no longer about the insecurity. It is now about the time frame that's supposed to affect the children in school. They have their plans, they have their hope, but because of the issue of insecurity, those plans, those visions, those ideas of I'm supposed to wrap up at this particular time is now cut short for the children.
That's a very valid and sensible observation. And again, you see how it's affecting Nigeria. Our future has already been dented as it is, because education is the backbone of every nation that has progressed. So if you're having insecurity stopping education, what does that intend for your future? How does that help your people who are supposed to be future leaders and they're not educated because of insecurity? What does that tell you about your country coming 10, 15, 20 years from now? It's not a good picture, honestly.
It's not a good picture.
It's not a good one.
So let's see other stories as well. We have the same story there, which talks about bandits demand 100 million ransom, 100 million naira ransom per Kwara church adoption victim.
Per head, 100 million. These are people who just went to worship their Lord. And you wonder, where would they get 100 million from, Anyete? If you ask me that question, where would they get that money from? Wow, the insecurity in Nigeria is just one that leaves you nauseated. But let's move away from that. And we see police confirm student abduction in Papari School, And there's a writer that says, can Niger government condemn attack? That's good to condemn, but of course it's better to take action, and we hope the actions will be taken and we see those students will be released as soon as possible. And this is a headline we've taken before. It says, federal government moves Nnamdi Kanu to Sokoto prison, with a rider that says, Ohaneze Ndibu urges Tinubu to embrace political solution, national reconciliation on court judgment. And details of this particular story is on page 6 of the Saturday Independent newspaper. And just below, at the bottom, you'd see a story that says, UNICEF, NGE, DAME hold dialogue on safeguarding Nigeria's child. That's a very timely one, because Nigeria's child needs to be safeguarded, and we need to see us doing better in terms of our welfare of kids. And that's all we can take on this particular Saturday Tribune newspaper. And of course, that also is much we can take on the newspaper review segment. Thank you very much for being a part of it. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
A program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. And
Thank you for joining us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofumi.
You know how we do it on Teacher Buzz Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss, and of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as...
Very numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Festival is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time, where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to...
Rural leaders in United Nigeria. I have a guest.
Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Talk, a program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. And what
Thank you for joining us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agumofemi.
You know how we do it on Teacher Buzz Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss, and of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as...
Numerous committee about more than 12 committees.
Face to Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to...
The world is in United Nigeria. I have a guest.
Entertainment, tackle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Turn Up Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
Global Morning.
Back is to Global Morning, and we're going into the discussion segments, and today we'll be looking at how Nigerians or how everyone can tackle the issue of the rising insecurity in Nigeria. And I have our guests with me who will join me via call in person of the Executive Director of CISLAC, in person of Awal Rasfanjani. We're going to focus basically on Nigeria's worsening security crisis, a wave of violent attacks and abductions and that continue to threaten lives, communities, and national stability. Just in the past week, 25 schoolgirls were abducted in Kebbi State. Bandits attacked Uturu in Kwara State, disrupting rural communities, and we also have students abducted in Niger State, and also another bandit raid hit Buhari area council here in Abuja in the FCT, heightening fears even in the nation's capital. These incidents come as United States government urges Nigeria's federal government to take decisive steps to end the insecurity menace, warning that continued instability undermines national development and regional peace. To help us unpack these issues and explore sustainable solutions, we have joining me, like I mentioned, Awal Rasfanjani, the Executive Director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. He's also a respected governance advocate and security sector reform campaigner. It's good to have you join us on Global Morning.
Thank you very much, and good morning all.
All right, there's a whole lot that's happening in Nigeria, and Nigerians are worried. There's mixed reaction. Current security situation has brought tension, mixed feelings across Nigeria. Nigeria has witnessed another troubling surge in adoptions and bandit attacks from Kebbi to Kwara to Niger and even the FCT. From your assessment, what is driving this renewed wave of insecurity across multiple regions simultaneously?
Well, as you all know, methods of violence all over in the country, trying to continue to create instability in the country because of the corruption in the security sector, impunity, incompetency, and misplacement of priority by the authority to tackle the issues of insecurity. So this is not something that is surprising. It is actually, expected to happen because once there's a security sector corruption, and once there's incompetency, once there's a collapse of patriotism, once there is impunity in the system, you will definitely expect something like this. The politicians have prioritized how to retain or capture power. Therefore, the safety of the people, it does not really bother them, as we can see clearly. So, for example, Nigerian army have been overwhelmed, because they are in operation in almost every state of the federation, and these are supposed to be work that are supposed to be done primarily because internal security is primarily responsibility of police, Nigerian civil and civil defense corps, as well as DSS, the Department of the State Services. These are the people who are supposed to, but now you see that the army is overwhelmed. They are in operation everywhere, and no much, cooperation, coordination, sharing of intelligence, sharing of information. You do not see that happening within the security sector. Again, when you have the large chunk of the Nigerian police following VIPs, politicians, in fact, in some cases, even Yahoo, who are supposed to be, arrested by the police, but police are following them to various places, including clubs, wedding ceremony, and all these kind of things. Living in ungoverned spaces with no any security there. So you expect that such kind of situation will definitely happen, and it has now overwhelmed and consumed the country. Now criminals openly in social media are cajoling even the Nigerian security.
Exactly.
And to the extent that they are even killing both the police and the army because there's no the terrorists, or rather the non-state actors are using modern gadgets, modern facilities, and then you wonder where are all the billions, where are all the trillions, that we have budgeted for arms in Nigeria for our security. So obviously this is courtesy of corruption, because corruption has eaten the fabric of the life of Nigerian, in the security sector and other areas, and therefore some of the political elite, they think that since they have second passport, they can always
have a way.
Take the next available flight and leave the rest of us here. So I think for me, what America is doing is a wake-up call, and it's
Are you still with us? Okay. Okay. Why he's trying to get us across that, let's also look at Muktari. We've seen that this is actually a concern that Nigerians are, like I mentioned earlier during this review segment, it's actually a word of concern, and we hope that, just like our guest is saying, if this can be stemmed, it shows that Nigeria can get past through this with all the confusion back and forth. Looking at the trend of insecurity across all the sector, it's actually very heartbreaking to see all of this happening. The security personnel who are supposed to do the job are now also being killed in the process. So where does this leave us as a nation, looking at the modern gadgets which these people actually use? And it's resulting into turning to a religious issue, which is really not about a religious issue. It's about the attack on Nigerians.
Honestly, if you look at the situation, it leaves more questions than it gives answers, because, like he has said, we've seen people who are supposed to be the people at the forefront are even victims at the moment. And
Okay.
It's not a pleasant one, actually.
All right, we still have you speaking to us. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what has been going on is a decade of negligence of the security and safety in Nigeria, and because there's no motivation even of our security personnel, they get killed, they get wounded, nobody cares about them. When they die, their family cannot even get their entitlement. You see them protesting, the retired, armed forces or retired police. They will be protesting for their entitlement. There's no way a country will run like this. You are demotivating those ones who are even in active service. If the retired ones cannot even get their entitlement, so there's no way they can put their best in defending the country, because they are defending the country and some corrupt politicians are stealing the money, even insulting them in uniform. So I think we have lost the national value in this country, courtesy of some, one-chance leaders that we have at all levels. Because there's no way a nation will continue to run in the way we are running. You cannot have, security that is not equipped, that is not motivated, that is not giving the necessary, facilities and equipment, and you do not also bother to share information because you believe it is your own, responsibility alone. So, but we know that insecurity, to tackle insecurity, you need cooperation, coordination, collaboration, and partnership, as well as information sharing from all different, security agencies. And if that is not happening, definitely you will not be surprised with the payload that we are, experiencing.
Okay.
But again, the truth is that the public officials appears not to be giving, priority to the security issue in the country, because otherwise you cannot understand why we are going this way. People will be killed in thousands, and when organization comes out to speak about it, they get hostility response. They get all sort of blackmail by the government. So this thing started gradually, and the civil society have been raising these issues. And because the country did not care really about early warning and early response, that's why we have found ourselves where we are. So until we rise up to deal with all these issues, there's no way we can be able to guarantee Nigerian safety. Look at children, going now after schools again. They were in, KB, they now moved to Niger, and we had rumor that they attempted to go to Nasarawa. So practically, you will see that this northwest, the insecurity has overwhelmed that place. In the entire north central, insecurity has overwhelmed that place. You can equally say that in the southeast, insecurity has equally overwhelmed that place. So not talk about the northeast where the Boko Haram operation is, and of course, occasionally in the southwest, you see some of this kind of level of insecurity. So it is all over in the country. It is not limited to one place. It is virtually everywhere in the country because of the fact that we have not taken issues of security, very well. You have retired several well-trained policemen and army because of politics. Now you have unskilled, people that you are not even equipping them. Now sacrificing their lives.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so my colleague Mukhtar is also here with me, and he wants to show this to you.
Good morning, Mr. Raspanjani. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Good morning, my brother.
So you talked about response. You see, communities have said that security operatives respond late or even lack the resources to act. Now, what systemic gaps in intelligence gathering or operational response are enabling these attacks to continue unabated in these communities that we've seen?
You see, there's no any attack that comes without, an element of early warning. If we are very proactive, we would have been able to tackle it. We will be able to prevent it and save lives and properties. But because, like I said, security is not a priority to some people who have been given this responsibility. They are busy, they are more interested in, retaining powers or collecting powers. So, therefore, to provide adequate, response in the community, they will not do. Many times, community will raise issue, and nobody is going to act, swiftly until when the damage is done. Then you will see them coming, and when they come, what do? They come. They end up extorting the community for you to move. You have to pay money to pass. This is what happened. What has been happening even in the northeast. In the northeast, despite the killings and the attack and violence that the Boko Haram and other criminal gangs are doing, the police, and the army, they have been posting innocent people, before you pass a road, you have to drop something. The same thing also in the southeast. The number of police checkpoints you see virtually everywhere. Every minute you will have to see checkpoints. If you have that number of policing, why then do you have this kind of without appropriate response? So it's like the insecurity has turned to like a business.
True.
It has become a business, and the communities are the one that receive double, trouble. They extort them. They also get killed and attacked. And the people who commit these atrocities, they move freely. In fact, it has reached the extent now that some public officials are openly going to negotiate with these criminals because they have lost hope. They have lost hope that the security can tackle the insecurity. So they are looking for option. And if the terrorists, or rather the bandits, will agree to collect money from them to be paying taxes so that they are not attacked, they would rather go and do that. And that clearly shows you the state is failing. Because if you have state, there's no way people will now prefer to pay the bandits or the criminal or the terrorists so that they can have their life. That clearly shows you state failure. And they don't want to admit that. So if you look at the millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions that Nigerians have paid for ransom, it is a vote of no confidence on the states. And this is not something that we should be happy, we should be proud of. So the terrorists, wherever they can attack to make money, they will do, because it's motivated by commercial motivation. It doesn't matter whether it is whether you call it religion, whether you are calling it political, whether you are calling it whatever. Lives is a life. Whatever nomenclature you give it, human lives is a human life, and nobody else's life should be taken. So our perspective or our angle is that every Nigerian life matters, irrespective of whatever identity you belong to. Because we know that there are a lot of political killings going on in this country. There are a lot of criminal killings. There are a lot of ethnic killing. There are a lot of religious killing. There are several killings, which they are all killings. Killing is killing. Irrespective of whatever color you give it,
or whatever
and every Nigerian must and deserve to be alive and to be protected by the government.
Okay, so we've seen multiple schools adoptions this year alone. What immediate measures should the federal and state governments adopt to safeguard the schools, especially in these vulnerable rural areas? Following what you've said, they know we have lots of checkpoints, we have all of these measures, but what should be done differently? Because this community seems to be vulnerable despite the security, which are supposedly supposed to protect them.
You see, like I had earlier mentioned, all these communities are ungoverned spaces. The politicians are not interested in, ensuring that they deploy necessary security to go and, save these communities. So therefore, they continue to be vulnerable because they have taken almost half of the security, police security, guarding them, carrying their bags. You would see very disgraceful and shameful acts. Officers carrying bags of, politician, in the airport, everywhere. You don't see this in Britain. You don't see this in America. You don't even see this in Ghana. You don't see this in South Africa. Not even in Kenya. But in Nigeria, not even an office holder, even a Yahoo, police are following him in large number. I can tell you, if you go to any club, today is Saturday. If you go to any club in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, you will see policemen following people who are not supposed to be accompanying them to social places like club. This is displacement of priority. Or you see government creating artificial problems. For example, in Kano has been peaceful, but because of the determination of some people, they have gone to create what they call federal emir. This federal emir, you have over, 15 to 20, policemen guarding him. When leading the communities that require the presence of police.
Of the security
so you could see displacement of priority from the government.
I see. So let's look at the U.S. government recently urged Nigeria to do the needful and take stronger action to end this insecurity. Do you think the federal government's current approach is adequate, or is there a fundamental policy disconnect following this whole issue of this insecurity in the country?
What we've been discussing discussing is the pillar of the policy and strategy. That is what we are even discussing. So if those policies are, effective and they enforce, there's no way anybody would have seen these shortcomings. Look at our neighbor, even Ghana here. Do you have this kind of rascality? You don't have, many countries in Africa, you don't see this kind of thing happening. But because here we prioritize insecurity, we prioritize, lack of safety in this country. So that's why, you see what we are witnessing in Nigeria. It is not by accident.
Yeah, it's not by accident.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mukhtar, I wanted to show this to you basically.
And so now we've mentioned a lot, but I want us to look at the causes. People have said poverty, unemployment, porous borders, and of course corruption. They've fingered this as our possible causes. But what do you think, in your opinion, is the number one cause of this particular situation we find ourselves in Nigeria at the moment? And how do we break the chain?
Well, the issue is that those issues that we have mentioned, of course, are all part of the cause roots of the insecurity that you have. The impunity you have is a very clear, challenge. One, people have no regard for the rule of law. One, people are, doing whatever they like without consequences. This is what you will end up having. So I think one of the ways in which we can deal with this issue is to ensure that you have justice in place. Because when people feel that they have no justice, then they will lose hope and confidence in the system. And like we have seen now, terrorists will go and attack communities, violence attack for that matter, and they will now be rewarded. With so-called, programs that they call, they call this program, de-radicalization, which basically is empowering those who committed atrocities and leaving those who have suffered these atrocities, no reconciliation, no empowerment, nothing. So that kind of policy encourages bandits and criminals to continue with what they are doing. Because there's no way communities that suffer violence attack, you do not do anything to save them, to at least ameliorate their suffering. Now those people who have committed that atrocity, they are now the one that you are pampering. So such kind of system will not be good, to ensure that the safety and protection of the people, are given priority. So for me, I think the root causes, are well known. The government has the responsibility to ensure that it brings durable solution along together with the cooperation and support of communities. But where the communities try to raise these issues, they become victims also. If they bring in any information, they ended up being victims of providing such kind of information to the security agent. So until we rise to change the way and manner things are done in this country, people will not be able to volunteer any information because they are scared, they are afraid. If they raise the information, they can also be victim of, security.
Okay, so let's look at the community.
In other words,
okay, sorry for cutting you. I wanted to while you were explaining that, I wanted to look at the community involvement, the community themselves, who are the vulnerable ones. Can the community policing, which has been a clamor over time from all institutions, or local vigilante structures be effective, given the increasing sophistication of bandits? What safeguards are needed by this community themselves to ensure they give themselves the safe haven they need?
Security is not a business of private person alone. Sure. In fact, the primary person that is supposed to have secure the people is the state, is the government, because part of their allegiance government is to protect you, and our constitution is very clear. So whatever contribution that people will do in the community is just to complement. They cannot substitute, the work of the government. You understand? Government forces. The government security are responsible for ensuring that there's a security of every person and the communities are protected. So the community, can only contribute, to the security forces by providing them with credible information. You cannot take the entire group that are not trained to throw them to go and be terrorists. That is absolutely wrong. You must differentiate the role that communities can play to complement the effort of the security and what the security people are supposed to do. The primary responsibility lies with the government and the security forces. So the communities can only complement in a minimal way because they didn't have the professionalism, they didn't have the skill to even protect themselves, because we are not doing that in various community where we teach safety. So to expect the Byzantine group to be the one to be taking the role of army or police is wrong, and that is why they are getting killed every now and then. Even of recent, you see how many of them have been killed, but it's just because people are tired of this violence attack. That is why they are sacrificing and volunteering to go and face these people. At the end of the day, they get killed. We are wasting human lives in this country.
Very true. Very, very true, my brother.
Mr. Rafsanjani, thank you very much for your input so far. So if you were to advise the president right now, what 3 advices would you give him to turn the tide in Nigeria's security situation at the moment?
So Mukhtar was asking if you're advising the president today, what 3 urgent actions would you recommend to restore public confidence and secure vulnerable communities?
That one is a process because Nigerians have suffered enough from this mistrust. So you cannot, restore that trust, overnight and with a sweet talk. Nigerians will want to see that, put in place. First and foremost, you need to strengthen and actually carry out security sector reforms in this country. You cannot, continue with the current security architecture. People that are supposed to retire, you retire some and you leave some, and they are all supposed to be retired. That has created also misgiving in the security sector. You also, refusing to take care of people who have give their life. Some of them, their hands or their leg are amputated, and you are not able to even pay their pension. Many of them are protesting. Even last week, some retired, policemen were in the National Assembly protesting over their pension and gratuity. So you cannot run a country like that. The people who are in service, they get killed, no arms, no nothing, and then they see their colleagues also retire and getting nothing. So there's total collapse of confidence that you can do this. While at the same time one politician will come and be stealing the money, or politician will come and be insulting them. This is something that we need to sit down and have a thorough conversation. This is not how Nigeria was run before.
True.
No country looked down on it, armed forces. That's why you see in some countries, even if you are boarding a plane, they will say retired armed officers or retired, security officers, then followed by the active, servicemen and women. But in Nigeria, we have turned them to beggars. Practically everywhere you move now in this country is roadblock, begging. If they cannot beg you, they will harass you to collect money because of the deterioration in the service system. You have to, reform those sectors, and you have to kill this rivalry between different, security agencies. You cannot run a country like this with a rivalry, security sector.
We can't. Very true. We can't.
So restoring hope and confidence has to be put in practice, not by sweet talk.
True. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Awal Rasvanjani. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your contribution on how the tackling of rising insecurity in Nigeria needs to be handled carefully to avoid the loss of more lives and the adoption of people. Once a very big thank you for your insights today on Global Morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, Nigeria's security challenges remain complex, but conversations like this help illuminate the path towards sustainable peace and protection for our communities. You're still watching Global Morning Weekend this Saturday on Global Television. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you the second segment of our programming on Global Morning. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Talk, a program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. And what
Thank you for joining us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agumofumi.
You know how we do it on Social Buzz Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss, and of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as...
Very numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Face-to-Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time, where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to...
World news in United Nigeria. I have a guest.
Entertainment, tackle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem?
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem?
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome. It's the second segment of Global Morning Weekend, and this is the sports segment where we'll be exploring a crucial part of every athlete's journey, their relationship with the media and how it can shape their identity, their influence, and their long-term career, both on and off the field. And who's better to speak with than one of Nigeria's most respected Olympians, Chika Chukwumerije, Belgium's 2008 bronze medalist, taekwondo champion, sports administrator, and a driving force behind grooming the next generation of fighters. Welcome, it's good to have you, Chika Chukwumerije.
Anita, thank you. Good to be here.
I'm so excited to see you because I know how I had to tell you that you need to come. So we have to talk about all of this because I love your passion. I love the way you carry when it comes to taekwondo thing and how you do your thing, basically. But for many athletes, training and discipline are only half of the story. The other half, often overlooked, is the visibility, the storytelling, and building a positive connection with fans through the media. So from post-match interviews to social media presence and documentary features, the media plays a powerful role in shaping how the public sees the athletes and even how the athletes sees themselves. Let's look at in today's lessons. Guess understands very well, but for you, how has this panned out for you in the past years, 2008, and we still have you relating with us, the media. Let's understand your perspective on that.
My perspective is simple. It's a symbiotic relationship. The media drive visibility, they drive publicity, and the athletes provide content.
True.
Basically. And why this is important is I want the athletes to look at it from an economic point of view.
Oh, great.
Good. You see, you have brands who want to sell their products and services to people. And most of these people tend to be the fans that watch entertainment events.
Okay.
You know? So they're looking for who can better promote or propagate our version of things. And that's where who they see on TV, who they hear on the radio, who they see on social media,
Great.
they now start looking for athletes who fits in with their brand, who can tell their story, who can communicate. So when you have an athlete that actually shies away from putting themselves out there, from using the media to build their reputation, to build their perception, then you find out that they're on the losing end of things because potentially they lose those opportunities. So for me, I understand why many athletes shy away from it.
Okay.
One, it can reduce our performance because of the pressure.
Okay, I see that now.
You are always on TV and you've got critics, you've got people who want you to do well, so you want to deliver. So it puts you under a lot of pressure.
Okay.
So I think that's one reason why athletes shy away from it.
Okay.
But why they shouldn't is, and that's where, like my team, when I build them, I used to conduct media training for them.
Oh, great.
On how to relate with the media. And really, you guys just want good content for your viewers.
For your viewers, sure.
And I explained to them that no, they're not trying to hang you out to dry. Just be yourself and present so story and build your own story around it. So I actually do think that without the media, the career of the athlete cannot really go as far as it should go.
True.
Because the media actually helps the career of the athletes to that trajectory.
That's trajectory, true.
Especially when you're performing well. So once you're performing well, there are many athletes that actually perform well, but they are not visible.
Very true.
So they've got no stage to
build on or to climb.
Build on, you know. So for me, personally, I had a good personal relationship with the media. I remember Beijing. I had quite a few media friends that I was close to. And they knew my story. They knew how long I had been working hard. And, they kept covering. And this is another thing. It doesn't matter whether you lose a match
no,
or
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It really doesn't. But they will cover you and take your story out to people.
For people to see and hear.
And you now find out that when you build your brand, people are not just interested in, okay, you scored that goal or you made that shot. They're interested in who are you as a person. What do you like wearing? Where do you go to? What's your philosophy in life? What relationships are you into? Your bad moments, when have you been weak?
And it chips it down.
Yes, because that gives them courage to say, okay, if this person maybe had an issue with drugs and he came out of it, or he had an issue with depression, how did he overcome it, So I encourage athletes to use the media platform to, shape perception, help people out there to somebody has a problem that you
have overcome,
can give them the solution to,
Yeah.
So it's quite a very interesting subject.
Okay. So over the years, you've spent decades using your platform not just to win medals, but to monitor and inspire younger talent through your Taekwondo Foundation and high performance training camps. It's also opening doors for young fighters across Nigeria and also in Africa, and teaching them that media engagement is a tool for growth, not a distraction. And I love the fact that you said you even train them to understand how to manage the media and how to present themselves. But you've been on the global stage, the Olympics, Continental Championship, global sports conferences. How important is the media in shaping an athlete's journey, which you've actually given us a breakdown about visibility? But aside visibility, what else? Storytelling alone, or what else do you think is really the relevance of this media? Because we have our own our audience, basically.
Okay, now you can talk about the traditional media and social media.
True.
Because social media has kind of changed the game a lot. Before, the fans used to engage with the athletes through maybe what the traditional media, right?
Tells you.
But now, because of social media, you find a lot of athletes engaging directly
to the fans.
And this has given them an opportunity to tell their own story, how it wants to be told.
Citizen journalism has come in.
So before if you come and just say, this is what happened, we'll take it how it is because that was traditional media.
True.
But in social media, you see an athlete to go on live and say, no, this was my vision, this was what happened, you know. So one, you can tell your own story.
Okay.
And that gives you an opportunity to reach more brands directly, to grow your engagement with fans and all that. So that's one. Two, you've actually seen people who have got signed up or they've come to scout them because of what they put out there in the media.
Okay.
So you are so good, but nobody sees you. But when the media puts you out in the spotlight or social media puts you out in the spotlight, you know, a scout can say, oh, wow, that's not bad. Let's go and check them out. So there are people who have gotten those kind of opportunities. Then you've got revenue opportunities. Of course, brands seeing you and saying, oh, I like how this person speaks. I like how he or she composes themselves. I think they're aligned with our brand. Oh, they look further. Okay, we like the fan base. They have quite a good following. Let's sign them up. That's potential revenue. And lastly, there are some athletes who now use it as a platform for advocacy, something that is important to you.
Okay.
It might be religious, it might be maybe for women, women rights, feminism, social issues, whatever. So you find that as the platform grows, you also have a voice to add to, you know, the voice of your community or whatever. So, but as athletes climb this ladder, as this visibility, you know, goes up and up, it also comes with some disadvantages, you know. And personally, for me, one of the major issues was like anxiety and depression.
Oh,
yes, it puts quite a lot of pressure on you. You know, you're always checking, are there likes? Then you're looking at the comments. And you don't realize these comments most times they're not personal. Someone can just be giving an analysis. Oh, you played badly. You should have kicked like this, and you did like that, and you take it personally, and it affects
in your head.
And over time, you get fatigued. You get mental fatigue, and it starts to affect your performance and all that. So even though it has all these benefits,
it has disadvantages.
It has some disadvantages, and that's why I really recommend that when we run like national camp for athletes, especially when they are young, we need to incorporate media training to tell them, okay, this is how we handle issues. So you just finished a match, you lost. At that point, you don't want to talk to anybody. And that's when they put a camera in your face. And you have to prepare them for those moments. Or when they ask you controversial issues that you don't want to talk about, how do you respond to it? They ask you personal questions you don't want to talk about, how do you respond to it? You know, how do you promote your sports? You know, and all that. So when you do this kind of training, then what happens is, for me, when I look at the big picture, if I run a federation or I have athletes under me, I'm going to be seeing how can I make these guys a product that are wanted by brands. And why this is important is it becomes an avenue where they can earn. And it saves, they're going to help their families and help people around them. So from beginning, I'm building the character of the athletes so that they are presentable, they are well-spoken, they can network, they can communicate.
Very true.
And when you have a lot of athletes that are like this, it's easy for companies, brands, organizations, NGOs to come and say, we want to work with this sport, we want to work with these athletes. And you now have your legal team that will now give them opportunities, you know. So when I see from this light, for me, it's a non-brainer. It's not just bringing them to the training facility, improving their speed, their power. They are as fit as a muscle. But when you put a camera in front of them, they rather face a lion in the jungle than talk on the camera.
I see that you've done a lot of trainings and you have the mental picture to what I was trying to project to you, basically, because I see that's how you've been able to manage your own strength and your capacity and image and kind of reflection you want society to see you. And it is a good one that you're putting that back. Well, let's look at, you've become a mentor, you've become a trainer, and you're creating the pathway for young talents to rise. How does the media expose help transform grassroots athletes into global figures? Because at the grassroots point now, they don't understand this, except you who has been training, who is standing as a mentor now. Of course, you have your team who you're also training. So how do you groom them to understand that global stage and managing themselves?
One, I have a personal relationship with the media.
Very true.
So, excuse me, with many of my friends in the media, when I sit down, they say, Chika, what's your vision?
Okay.
And I say, well, I want to produce these kind of athletes who they're educated, they are champions, they are this, they are that. And they say, okay, how are you going to do that? I say, okay, these are the training programs I have in store for them. Because you see, in supply chain, it's always about the value chain.
Very true.
So you look at the start and the end, and you say, okay, these are the raw materials, and this is the finish point. So between here and here, what needs to go into this young girl, this young boy, and what waste needs to come out, so that by the time they get there, they're at that point. So this is how I think. And apart from the physical training, the technical training, the tactical training, media training is also very important. And because of the scope of what we're talking about, I'm not going to go into other issues like welfare and the trainers they need. I'm focusing on the media.
Yeah.
So from beginning, like with my team, like Elizabeth, in fact, all of them that went through, I used to get a friend of mine who was a journalist, and we used to do video calls, and we used to do like full workshops for them.
Okay.
And we would set up the cameras, and we'll bring them in an interview situation like this, and we'll get them to sit down, and we'll now interview them, what is their responses, then give them like examples of how to respond to it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sometimes we just finish training and we'll do the same when they're under pressure. So that was kind of my media training. You catch them at various points.
Okay.
When they just won, so that time when your ego is high in the air, you have to just pretend you're humble, even if you're not. So you just beat the team like 10-0.
And you're feeling proud.
Yeah. And they ask you, how do you feel? You say, oh, it was very difficult. The person gave me a good fight. You give kudos because it's just the etiquette of sports.
True.
No vanquish, exactly, When you lose, what happens? Okay, in sports, we lose some, we win some. Today, that was the person's day.
Tomorrow
I'm going to go back. I'm going to study. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make sure I come back. And so when you train them like this, then you're building them towards when they become elite athletes.
Very true.
Because nothing looks so bad as an accomplished athlete, a performing athlete who does not behave well on the podium. It irritates the skin.
It does, actually.
So that is how I and my team used to go about building them from the grassroots,
Okay.
So even when we have tournaments at the grassroots, I say, interview them. Especially the ones that run away. They're the ones I catch. I said, no, you have to
You
talk.
have to talk, so you build yourself. Well, I like the trainings and how because you've competed on the global stage and you understand what the media is and you've been able to build personal relationship. At what point did you realize that media visibility was just not just important as performance on the mat? Let's look at the importance of you being visible and the media giving you that edge. At what point in your career did you realize that's made you come very close to the media?
Okay. In my career, I'll confess.
Yes, I want to understand.
I was not, I think the experience I have, let me say I didn't benefit from my experience.
Okay.
Because my career had already ended.
Okay, before you realized
so
that.
like many athletes, they actually avoided. So this friendship with the media was behind the camera.
That you had it, so you didn't. So now you understand. That's why you're training these ones
So
to get it
behind
better.
the camera, I was very comfortable with talking with them because maybe because I'm a bit cerebral in nature. I found many journalists, just like in camp, I was very close with always the medical team.
Yeah.
Because I found them to be very intellectual. And as an athlete, that helped me a lot. I used to go a lot. You used to see me in the medical department a lot. I used to see me with our media crew a lot. So we used to talk about everything and performance. So it helped me a lot.
Okay, great.
Good. But from your perspective, how I saw that it hampered me was, you see, for the athlete, and this is very important, by the time you finish your career, you're going to be like maybe in your 30s. And maybe you finish school maybe in your early 20s. The people you finished with, they've had a lot of experience with applying for jobs, packaging themselves.
I'm telling you.
They've gone through
The
all
hurdles.
that rejection, and so they have a lot of those real life skills.
Yeah.
We don't. We wake up and we train between 4 and 8 hours a day, depending on what sport you're in. And by the time we're done with our careers, you suddenly find there's almost a depression that sets in because you're in this career that all you were doing was just train, compete, not compete. And you're back to the real life where you have to pay bills, you have to reintegrate into society. So what I'll tell them is this relationship with the media builds for you a business opportunity that regular people who are not in the sports field cannot have. So you have the name recognition and you have all those going for you. So when you have a good relationship with the media that's giving you a platform, you can use it to leverage for deals, brand endorsements. If you start your business, you find out that if Chika Chukwumereje wants to apply for a contract now, and I go through the whole process of the bid, when I get to that place, because of what I did in sports, because of all those news items that you guys used to put me out there. I know that guy that, you won the Africa. You did. So it's a breaker for us. Suddenly, they don't need to fact check who this guy is. For the others, they need to first fact check who are you? Who are we
dealing with?
But with you, if maybe a Mary Onyali walks in, or Blessing, Buduru, or all those our stars, they've got the brand. So
already.
That is what the media helps you do. It gives you that platform to whatever you're doing, whether you're running an NGO, running a business, working in a company, or you want brand endorsement, you can leverage on it. But for you to be able to leverage on it, we have to teach them
on that
how exactly they need to leverage on it.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of athletes who have struggled to balance that, and I see that you've done that. You've learned to balance the stress, the demand, constantly being in the spotlight, and I see you integrating this into the younger ones whom you're training. From your experience, what's the biggest mistake athletes make when dealing with the media, and how can they avoid it?
To think things through.
Okay.
One, a conscious decision to not avoid them.
Okay.
We avoid them a lot. We shouldn't.
We're not flakes.
Two, when you do meet them, they are human. Watch what you say. Think about it carefully.
True.
Don't be under pressure. If you ask me something I do not want to answer, you don't need to flare up. I'm sorry, this question is uncomfortable for me, or it's not the right time. So we teach them how to handle it, you know. Three, your communication should be concise. And what is your message?
Straight up.
You know? What is your take on this? Think about it. Take a few seconds. Make sure it's not something you regret that you said later. Is this something that improves your reputation and your brand? Is this something that improves the reputation of your sport? Is this something that if your friends and family watch later, you'll be okay with? And when you can think through this, then you will be good, you know. So I think that's just what I advise them. One, don't avoid the media. And when you avoid them, be very deliberate about what you say.
About what you say. Well, we've talked about the social media space and the digital era. How critical is social media to building an athlete's brand, especially for sports like taekwondo that don't always get headline coverages?
Very, very important. Now you have the opportunity to talk directly to your family, to build a fan base. The social media gives you a voice to tell your story how you want it to be told. So if someone says something that you think is not right, you want to respond, you can easily go live or make a video and post your own version of things, and it can go viral. So social media has a lot of benefits, you know. So you can connect to people around the world. So I remember sometimes on my page, you find out people reviewing on what I was doing from Egypt, from Cote d'Ivoire, from the US, from the UK. It gives you that kind of
leverage as well.
You know, you find out that social media can help you with revenue generation, reaching out to brands you don't know. You find out that it gives a platform for advocacy, you know. But as I said, for me, the number one drawback for social media is the cyberbullying.
True.
It leads to anxiety, it leads to depression, so mental health issues. And for an athlete, that does not go well with performance at all, you know. The second drawback for me is addiction. So some people tend to get addicted to it in that they can't get their hands off the phone. If by mistake their data finishes, they're
out of this world.
Exactly. You know, so then they don't sleep well again because every other they wake up they have to
1
check.
second they're going to check that.
Did anybody check my page? Did they like? Did they say something? And lastly, there are constant need to engage because when you start engaging directly with fans, you can't stay away. So if somebody comments on something, sometimes you have to respond. So how much do I respond back? How much do I not?
What time do you have to even go back to training?
So I think social media is very, very important in today's age, but it comes with its benefits. It comes with its drawbacks. So we also have to teach them how to maybe sometimes switch off for a week. Sometimes limit the time. Decide who I respond to or not. You don't need to respond to everybody. Just like in real life, you won't respond.
It's not everything you say. It's not everything you answer because.
So when you do the media training, the social media has almost taken the front burner.
True.
You know, in the athletes have to now learn how to respond and work with the traditional media, but also how to use social media to their maximum benefit in a way that does not
their image,
their performance, and does not damage their image and their reputation.
Okay, so I talking about reputation. You've built a reputation not just through medals, but through discipline and consistency. How can young athletes intentionally shape their narrative in the public eye, which you've also talked about a bit of that. But I just wanted to make them see reasons to how you were able to put in discipline more. Because that's one of the key words. If you don't have discipline, you can't even, because I know you and your social media. Should we talk about it? So let's talk about that part, discipline basically, how that should help them in the public eye.
The number one, if I'm an Olympic medalist, is because of discipline.
Exactly.
I can literally count how many fights I had in my entire career before I went to the Olympics.
Okay.
It's not normal.
Okay.
And I had more imaginary competitions in the backyard of my family home with my brother.
Okay.
Because I accepted that we didn't have the right infrastructure and the right human knowledge. And the Almighty was very kind to me that I had the gift for analysis and hard work.
Okay.
So I used to research, and sometimes my brother Uche, he also won, he also became African champion.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll host a whole tournament in the back of our house.
Very
so
good.
what does it mean? We'll wake up at 5:30, which is when I wake up anytime I have a competition. We'll go through the warm-up routine. Then we'll go to the back, and after the main warm-up in the morning, maybe like 1 hour before my fight, I'll start warming up again.
Oh, great.
And we'll do like shadow fighting with bags and stuff for the 2 hours, 3 minutes. At that point, we used to compete for 2 hours, 3 minutes. And when we finish the first fight, we'll hold on for 2 hours, just like in a real tournament. And we'll maintain in our heads, we are wherever we're in the world, hosting a tournament.
Oh, great.
And with this kind of mental work, a lot of times, but it requires a lot of discipline.
Okay.
A discipline to ignore, you come to camp, you know you should have this or that, but to keep your eyes on the ball, you know. We go out, I get to other countries, I see teams with their full complement of, you know, they have their physio, their masseur, they have like 2
Medical.
coaches, 3 trainees, they have everything. You see their kids, wow, so many.
Okay.
And you're here, sometimes I even go without. There was a time I went for a tournament, I went with just the physiotherapist because I had money for just 2 people.
Oh.
So it was take the coach or take the physio.
So make up your mind.
Yeah, I took the physio because I said, oh,
you'll be your own coach.
I'll find a coach there, you know. But
Oh,
it took a lot of mental discipline mental and physical discipline. So my advice is, it's tough, but the work I did makes it easier for Nigeria Taekwondo.
Okay.
Now I've produced another Olympian.
Great.
It tells us that it's possible. I
Very
didn't like this talk that, oh, we need to be there or there. No, she did it from here.
Very good.
She came from a very humble background and she went out to the top. And it gives me confidence to know that, look,
You know,
I might not have all the equipment, but if you give me a bunch of young people and you give me 6 years with them,
You can mold them.
we'll produce Nigerians that will be on the podium. You
Awesome.
know? And the foundation of that is on discipline. Your vision should be clear, it should be consistent, then ignore the noise. People
Silence the noise.
They're worried that what did they say about you? What did you
People don't know how to silence the noise. And at
I'm
what
just,
point to
just
silence.
be silent, and that is the objective, and give yourself a time frame.
Okay.
You know, and for me, once you have discipline and your vision is clear, you use
run
what
with
you
it.
have, you run with it.
All right, great. I like that focus. But let's look, the role what role do you think storytelling plays in building a legacy for an athlete beyond the competition? Because we talked about how the media has helped you, and the storytelling has also helped you push out, and you've trained them. You've trained from what you're doing. I don't understand what that smile is for, but let's get that straight. I just want to understand how the storytelling has played that legacy for you as an athlete. Because 2008, this is 2025.
You tell your story. Let me tell you 2 stories.
Okay.
I'll first tell a story because she's the one I handed over to. So right now, Elizabeth is the face of Taekwondo.
Great.
So I'll take 1 minute and tell her story. So I'll tell you the importance of storytelling.
Okay.
You see, Elizabeth's father is a clergyman, he's a pastor, and the mom used to sell kunu. They used to stay in Lube. So when you go to where they stay, with me, the excuse is, oh, his dad was a senator now. So you can't quite argue that was not the reason. But with her, you can say, okay, she came from down there, you know. And the sporting was just her talent. I saw a young person, and I said, the first thing I said to her is that, look, if you give me 7 years, I'll get you to the Olympics. You know, and that was it. And over the time, in fact, there was a time that she sent me a text and said there was no food in her house. This was after I got her to her first All-African Games when she won the bronze. So a few months later, there was no food in her house. And I said, come over, and I gave her some food stuff and all that. So she came from a story of struggling.
True.
But the training was hard.
It has
She
to be.
cried. Sometimes she would lose, she would cry, and I'll say, no, keep the
Keep
story up.
pushing.
Now, I'll tell you why I told you the story. In 2020, before Tokyo, we had to go for an event before the Olympics. I wanted to expose her, but we didn't have enough money. And we've not yet gotten money from the ministry, so we had to raise money. And Nigerians raised 3.5 million in 4 days.
Wow.
I remember that campaign. I came out and I said, please, I want Elizabeth to go and compete. I didn't tell my story.
You told someone
I said,
else's.
see where she's coming from. See who her parents were. See the background. At that point, she was in Futo, she was in school, she was studying, and she was doing this. I just told her story. And people were responding. Some people were donating 1,000, 10,000, 5,000. I think there were about, if I remember, about 189 donations. But everything came to 3.5 million.
Which is beautiful.
That is how we went for that event. That is the power of
storytelling. Awesome.
And for every athlete, tell your story in such a way that you can use whatever support you get to achieve your objectives.
Okay. Well, I see the power of storytelling, which is one of the reasons why I felt you were the best bet to tell the story. You've become a powerful mentor to young taekwondo's talents. How do you teach them media engagement tool? It's not just about the distraction. Yes, obviously, we've talked about that. There's a whole lot of distraction from grassroots to international competitions, championship. What gaps do you see? How young Nigerian athletes are presented to the world? Because there's always a distraction. Sometimes I'll take for instance Super Eagles, I'm just bringing that as an example. Look at what happened in the playoffs and all that. That is one distraction, and Nigerians trust us when the mojo is high, we jump at it, but when it's low, there's a whole lot of bashing. Yeah. So how do you help them? What gaps do you see in the Nigerian athletes? How can they manage that space at that point?
The mentorship, the coaches, that's where they come in.
Okay.
When you deal with young athletes, they don't yet have the maturity to handle this thing.
The pressure.
So the maturity and experience of their handlers is very important.
Okay.
What I went through, I don't want them to go through.
Very true.
I used to multitask. I used to write my own training programs. So Beijing, London, my program got the same program I adapted for Elizabeth. So I used to do my own logistics, so my own flights, my own hotels and stuff. But it shouldn't be. It's not normal, you know. And it was a distraction for me. So with them, everything that will make them take their eyes off the ball in training, I shield them for it.
Oh, good.
You know. And that's what I advise to coaches and sports administrators and anyone who mentors young people. These problems, solve it within yourselves. Don't allow them be bothered about it, because one little distraction
just takes it off.
So if holding their phone, being on the social media would distract them, and I used to do it. I used to have a box.
Okay. So you collect phones?
Yes, I used to have a box because at one point I noticed they were sleeping late. My team used to train early. I used to make them train at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, great.
Sometimes, because I was building their mental strength.
Okay.
So when they come, some of them will be like really tired. So I knew that this person was on the phone. They didn't sleep early. So I had a rule. I'll just say, okay, 10 p.m.
Lights out.
Actually, I said 8:30 p.m. and I put it lights out. And they negotiated, oh, please. So you compromise a bit. So I said, okay, 10 p.m.
All right.
But if I don't notice an improvement, we shift it back.
Shift it back.
So you basically, everything that will distract them. And it could be hunger. It could be a problem with a family member, a friend. So you have to be sensitive to those issues, you know, where is it coming from, and aggressively block it
Tackle
out,
it.
especially if the game is nearby. It just takes a little
Distraction.
thing. I remember watching, I think the last Olympics, the table tennis world #1. I think he won a gold in one event, and I think as he was having interactions with the media or somebody, his bat broke. So the next day, he had another match where he had to use another bat. And in my head, I was like, because you're attached mentally to that
particular
equipment.
one.
So it might be the same, but it is not the same. So at that moment, I knew that was a distraction. And if he won, man, means his mental
Miracle.
strength will have been very high, you know. So towards the event, anything that distracts them, oh, they've not been paid, oh, they are not kitted well,
Let's get it
they're
off.
not wearing the right size, oh, too many calls, you cut it all off,
Cut it
you
off.
know. So at that point, it's not, for me, it's not a lecture to the young people.
Okay.
It's like telling, I have these toddlers in my dojo and they're like 4, 5.
Oh,
You can't
okay.
tell them to sit still. It's impossible.
Now that stage, no. You can't.
No. Come here. Sit down. So if I'm out, sit down. So with athletes, with distraction, that's all you do.
That's
It's,
what you
it's
have
not
to
something you teach. It's something that you show them, you put the restrictions in place to make sure that they are not as distracted as possible.
Okay.
Of course, once in a while, you get those natural ones that are just tuned in, and those are the dreams of every coaches.
Okay.
But generally, you should have a system that keeps distractions to the minimum.
Cops. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could redesign the way the media covers young athletes, what would you change?
Sorry, come again.
The way the media, if you were to redesign
Okay.
the way the media covers young athletes or generally athletes, what would you change?
I would like to see the media and sports federations work closer together.
Okay.
Sports federations should organize workshops for the media to teach them how to cover their sports.
Okay.
When you understand a sport more, it's easier for you to cover it in different angles, not
Okay.
from a layman's perspective.
Okay.
So federations can do more in doing media pallies and saying, this is what our sports are about. Telling them your major players, athletes in that sport. And telling them those, it's not just, the person scored 10 wickets or 10 goals, Tell them their background stories. Give them content that they want to cover.
Great.
Make it interesting. So that's one. 2, I don't know how, because sports media is different from like the political media or entertainment media, or but how can we bridge it more? How can you see more sports news in the general news and all that? So I don't know if that makes sense.
It shouldn't be towards the end, like we always do it.
Yeah. So yes, the Nigerian sports media have really, really been good. They try and reach out a lot, but federations have to also help them by doing more programs. Programs are not enough.
They're not, sincerely, they're not.
You have to do every state, do programs every weekend, to have leagues, bring up these tools so that they have what they can
have content
cover,
to talk to about.
So that working together with the sports administrators, then there must be a point at which we must connect the private sector and the government sector.
Okay.
Because all this for me is an opportunity to increase the GDP.
Oh, great.
And many countries, when they speak of sport, they speak in billions of dollars.
And we're still
But we have not yet been there. We're not developing our athletes as products. They will say, how many medals are they going to win at the Olympics? And I am saying, how many companies are willing to sign up to 1,000 athletes from this sport?
From this country or this
How many of them fit the brand profile of this? So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay, your infrastructure. How many of you have built event management teams so that you can do consistent events and make it interesting? There was a time I went to watch a match in Bayern Munich. I went to visit my friends in Germany, and I was quite, the sports entertainment around the football game. So even if I don't like football, I can go with my family, sit down, and there are other things to do. And I remember that each time I do an event, whether I did the CCSF Opens or even in Abuja and all that, I make sure that my events, you get vendors around, you get food vendors, art vendors, things that make it interesting.
Okay.
In the planning committees I always make sure I have 2 or 3 media people in.
Great.
Because they help. They say, oh, Chika, you see, the viewers want to see it like this, or why not do it like that? So these are some of the suggestions. When you have events, not just the planners, bring in the media into your planning committee.
Okay.
When you're developing your athletes and your training programs, don't just do technical and tactical training.
Okay.
Bring in the media and say, okay, can you do a media course for us?
Okay.
Ask the media, when you cover a program, what kind of talking points do you want to see? Are you looking
forward to?
So that you can come up with those talking points for them and tell them, So in this way, the media can help a lot, the federations, to build a system that can, over the long run, help the GDP.
Great.
And once we start achieving that, then we're not just talking of athletes winning medals at the Olympics. We're talking of a sport that is creating jobs, that is creating jobs and similar kind of stuff.
Okay, great. You've transitioned from athletes to mentor, administrator, and trainer. How has your relationship with the media evolved through the stages from an athlete to a mentor to a trainer and an administrator? But how, because you talked about the symbiotic relationship, you talked about how that has helped, how you left the stage, how you're able to manage the media to bring them into the business space for you. So let's just see you capitalize on that.
Clarity.
Okay.
I just see it as I just see it as it is. I'm genuine.
Okay.
So as an athlete, long before I won at the Olympics, I said I want an Olympic medal.
Great.
And I want to be national champion.
Okay.
And the media followed me and watched and watched and watched. So that when I did it, it was not a fluke. They knew Chika was working hard.
Had said it over time.
And when I finished as an athlete, I said, okay, my next step is I want to train an Olympian. So you guys knew years before time. I said, this is how I'm going to do it. So I said, these are the challenges. It's too heavy for me, but
you can carry on.
But this is the goal. And we kept working. We kept working. And so the media is very instrumental. Like, I'll give you an example. For 4 years, I've actually been almost media silent because I was tired.
Okay.
I said after Tokyo, I was going to take a rest. And I actually told most of my media friends that, look, I need to sort out some things.
Few things.
I was training my team because actually I have a team for the 2032 and 2036 Olympics. That's my next focus.
Awesome.
So, oh, Chika, why are you going for so long? I said, because this Nigeria project, we die here.
I'm telling you.
So, but I'm tired, and you don't give up when you're tired. What happens is that when you're tired, you take a break. So maybe in 4 years, I might be back to the federation. If I'm rested, I'm still doing my project. But because I communicate to them what I want to do at any point in time, and because we have a genuine friendship, they're able to respect the wishes. Like most times they'll call and say, can we do an interview on this issue? I say, please, I'm not quite, and they will understand. They've been so understanding to me regaining my mental health, you know. So I think that is how I've been able to transition.
Great.
You know, so like from next year, I'll be out more to do more grassroots programs. Great. And I'm already telling my friends that, look, I'm going to come out soon. No, I need your help. You know, I've already done this. I've written my program, I've become an Olympian. I've developed another Olympian. So I've shown that it can be done.
Yeah.
Okay, how can we multiply this effect? So I need you to be able to tell our audience that this is what we're doing.
This is where we are as well.
So when you communicate clearly like that, you say, this is how I want you to help. Then you find out that where people can help, they will help. And where they can't help, at least they will
clap for you. Applaudissez.
Applaudissez.
Yeah. So finally, what single advice would you give any young athletes watching you right now about owning the spotlight, like owning it, basically, with all of this?
Don't focus on, I want to be famous.
Okay.
You have a love for the sport. Focus on performance. I want to be the best I can be in this sport, you know. So don't play for the cameras and don't play for the likes and the clicks. Play because when you enjoy the sport, you enjoy the results, you want to be number one. And to be number one requires you to be totally zoned in, you know. So having said that, see the media as your friends in this project to become number one because they can help your career. The media can help take you from a mediocre team to a team on the top. The media can help you get the visibility that someone who is going to help finance your training programs, your trips, will see it and say, okay, we want to help this project. And that is the way you should see it. You should see the media as your friends who want to help you to succeed. And when you talk to them, that is in that context. So that's just my advice to them. Focus on your art and focus on being number one.
All right, great. Chika Chukwumerije, Olympian mentor and a powerful advocate for athletes' development. Thank you for sharing your insight with us today. I like the way you smile when you look at it. Thank you so much for your insight today. I just really needed you to tell the story for people to understand your passion, your discipline, and how you shape the minds of younger generation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we've had the journey of greatness isn't just about skill and performance. It's also about connection, communication, and stepping confidently into the spotlight. More coming up after this time out. It's still Global Morning Weekend. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
A program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. And what
Thank you for joining us here on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agumofemi.
You know how we do it on Social Post Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
a numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Festify is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
world leaders in United Nigeria.
Entertainment, circle, And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Top Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
Here on Global Morning Weekend this Saturday, and I hope you had an amazing time with us from our first conversation that's running around tackling insecurity in Nigeria, and our experts did justice to that, and he has called for more of that spirit to see how Nigeria can become the safe haven and not become a country of particular concern. And Mukhtar also is back here with me, and he saw our guest.
It's a pleasure to be back because the first conversation was quite sobering.
Yes.
And talking about insecurity in Nigeria and how to find solutions. It was a nice conversation. And of course, with the champ himself, like I like to call him, it was a very insightful and exciting conversation. You know, I'm also big on sports.
Yes, I know that.
And he brought a lot of insight that I believe, of course, would contribute to sports development in Nigeria.
And let's see how we, as the media, also can be guided through to how we can manage them from other spotlight points. Because like he mentioned, there's a whole lot to manage around. There's pressure, there's the tournament itself, and there's the critic, there's the cyberbullying and all that with the social media trend. But hopefully, the media understands it now from now going on.
Of course, because these athletes are humans, so you should cut them some slack. Do not always be hard on them. They're just humans like all of us. So they do their best in making Nigeria a great nation in terms of sports development. So the media should do the needful in helping them do their job better and not making it worse.
Okay, well, that's the much we can take today on Global Morning Weekend. We hope you had an amazing ride with us. We'll look forward to more programming on Global Television today because we have lots lined up in our programming for today. For me, it says have a lovely weekend ahead of you.
Of course, have a lovely weekend and a great week ahead of you.
All right, bye for now.